What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm bringing you another New York video because you love it. I was gonna film this one on the roof actually, but it is so loud because I never really realized how loud it is because I'm so used to it, but that's New York, baby. All of you who are watching, make sure that you subscribe because we're growing and it feels really good. Today's video is gonna be about things I've learned while living in New York. I've learned a lot of things actually, but I've narrowed it down to 5 top things that I think would be beneficial to share. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. One of my favorite things that New York has taught me is that there is a difference between being nice and being kind. There is a huge difference between the two. Being kind is a character trait. It's who you are. It's part of who you are. I consider myself a kind person because I'm not expecting anything. Whether I'm giving a material thing, whether I'm giving an emotion, just giving someone a smile. I don't feel a certain type of way if I give you a compliment and you don't compliment me back. I didn't give you that compliment so that I could get one in return. That wasn't the point of me complimenting you. I think it's kind of fake when people feel the need to do that because they're like, oh, I gotta be nice. You don't need to be anything. You just need to be yourself. Being nice can be manipulated. It can be faked. Most of the time it is faked from my experience. Being nice is like a character that people like to play so they can always be seen in a good light. I know it's not always that malicious. It's definitely not that calculated, but I think a lot of us without even knowing do it. If you are 100% honest with yourself, if you play nice and fake nice and it's not genuinely coming out as kind, one, you're caring way too much what other people think of you, but you will exhaust yourself and you won't be happy with yourself and you'll start resenting other people and getting angry at other people. This is something that I still struggle with because I grew up in that. People can tell when it's fake and most of you know what I'm talking about. It's just not genuine and it's weird and you know, it's like this game that we're playing and it's like, you didn't have to do that. In fact, I prefer if you're honest and you're showing me your honest emotion. You don't need to be on all the time. If you're not feeling good that day, I don't expect anything from anybody, but I'm not expecting you to like play nice and pretend that everything's okay. You don't have to like cry and like, you know, fall to the ground and be like miserable in front of me. Unless you want to, if you need to let it out, let it out. Just be honest and genuine. People in New York don't hide their emotions, which I thoroughly appreciate because it just shows honesty. We have 9 million people in this city, so there's usually tons of different people around you throughout the day. Usually when I go on walks, if I don't have my headphones in, I love to people watch. I see someone crying because they're sad, they're on the phone, they're not on the phone, they're sad because something happened, who knows? They're just sad and they're letting that emotion show. Happy people, you see people in love, holding hands. You hear people who are angry. I've heard so many guys, specifically in this neighborhood, I didn't cheat on you. She wasn't even there. Why won't you listen to me? I think it's so funny. This is normal, natural human emotion that probably everybody feels and goes through at some point. I just love how in New York, you can feel it and you can show it and no one's trying to fake an emotion. Especially as a woman, you're supposed to play nice, act nice, behave nicely. Even if you are feeling down, you need to just be nice, right? My mom always had me putting on a happy face, never showing that anything was wrong. In a lot of ways, it was very damaging. In fact, in every way possible, it was very damaging. You don't need to show every emotion out in public, but if you are feeling that, and if that is honestly what you're feeling at the time and you need to let it out, I don't think there's a problem in doing that. We all feel different types of emotions. Nobody's happy all the time. I really adore New York for that because no one really plays nice here. I mean, some people do still, of course. Not everybody that lives in New York is from New York. When I see myself doing it, I'm like, wait, stop it. Be honest with yourself. The person that you show people is what they're going to accept. So if you constantly are faking your personality, then it's not really their fault, you know? Before we go any further, I want to point out that today's video is sponsored by Merit Beauty. Merit Beauty is a clean beauty brand with a focus on minimalism and luxury. They are vegan and cruelty-free and super easy to incorporate into your everyday beauty routine. You guys know I don't really wear makeup in my videos, but when I do, I opt for natural looking products and Merit offers just that. I'm in love with the Bronze Balm that is basically teaching me how to contour on the simplest level. It's sheer and buildable, so you can add more or less while it plays off your own features using natural light to give you the chicest look. Doing my brows is a must, whether I wear a full face of makeup or not. And their Brow 1980 Volumizing Pomade gives me those bold, thick brows that make me reminisce on the 90s. I love makeup that allows you to still look like yourself while highlighting your best features. I also have been using their Day Glow Highlighting Balm religiously and their Flush Balm for natural cheek color. These products can be found on Sephora, but if you shop Merit on meritbeauty.com, you can receive free shipping on all orders over $40 USD, plus their cute little signature bag with your first purchase. You guys can shop my affiliate link in the caption below. The second point I want to make is location, location, location. That is literally one of the main things I have learned about New York from day one. Location and where you live, location and where you work, location based on the type of food you want to eat. Let me break it down. Location, and when it comes to housing, the neighborhood you live in is going to determine how you feel every day. Your home is your safe haven. Whether it's an apartment, a condo, a house, it's your safe haven. It's where you go to relax, recharge, to sleep, to shower, and your neighborhood is definitely going to make a difference when it comes to that. The farther you go out from the city, the cheaper rent is because you are no longer paying for that prime location. I've lived in so many different places. When I lived in Sheepshead Bay, I had to walk so far from the train to my apartment. It kind of sucks, especially if you're going into work and you've already had a long day and then you're having to like add all this time to your commute. Like if your commute is like an hour long, I feel for you. Oh my God, I've been there. When I lived in Jamaica, Queens, I literally was on the last stop. I have fell asleep on that train so many times too, to the point people are like, hey, like it's the last stop. I hope you didn't miss your stop. I'm like, nope. I live on the last stop, it's fine. Even the neighborhood we live in right now, we've lived in this neighborhood for 4 years. It's ran its course. We're gonna move next year. We wanna be in a different neighborhood. I do think we're gonna stay in New York, you guys. For all of you who have been keeping up with my videos, I think we're gonna stay here. I'll keep you posted on what happens with all of that. We just wanna live in a neighborhood that's a little bit quieter and a neighborhood that has more people like us, like that are our age and kind of doing the same things that we're doing. Location in regards to where you work. I live in Brooklyn, I work in the Upper East Side, and I thoroughly love the Upper East Side. If you live in an area that you don't really like, try to work in an area that you do, because then at least you're getting some of a different neighborhood because you are going to spend a lot of time at work. That's what I used to do when I first moved here, and I've worked in so many different neighborhoods. I've worked in Midtown, I've worked on Park Avenue, Soho, that one was really fun. I really like that area. Now I work in Upper East Side, which is by far my favorite location because I just love that area. There's so much fashion and shopping nearby and really, really good food. So yeah, every time I go into the office, I'm going into a completely different neighborhood. It really is like night and day based on where I live. It's fun, it feels good, it's refreshing, just experiencing like a different vibe depending on the industry and the type of career you're doing. Definitely will determine the type of area you're in. I work in finance, so obviously a lot of like money around me. And the same goes for location for when it comes to different cuisines that you want to eat. We have a lot of Spanish people in the neighborhood that we live in. We have Venezuelan food, we have Puerto Rican food, we have Mexican food, which I love. So actually not upset about that at all. Now take it to the Upper East Side where I work, the food is going to be a little bit different. There's a lot of higher end cuisine. Felipe Chow, you have Avra, you have a lot of different sushis, like really expensive sushi. If you're visiting, definitely check out all these areas. But if you're living here and you're struggling like I was at the beginning, like I said, try to like work somewhere in a neighborhood that you like, even if it's different from the neighborhood you live in. Remember, you will move often when you live in New York. I moved every year when I first moved here, and living in this apartment is the longest that I've lived in an apartment. Okay, moving on to the next point. Guts matter. Guts matter. It just allows you to be the best possible version of yourself and just get what you want. There's so much opportunity here. I mean, this place is known for all the opportunity it has. And there have been times when I first moved here that I didn't believe that because I was like, I mean, it's still really hard to make it here, but there's so many people living here. You gotta fight for what you want, especially when it comes to getting jobs. I've gotten multiple jobs where I just walked in and basically sold myself. The fashion designer I worked for in Soho, that was so much fun, and I got that job by walking in. And I've talked about this on my How to Get a Job in New York video that you guys have probably already seen. That's something they look for. If you're willing to just put yourself out there and act like you deserve it, then who knows? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Someone say no? A specific story that comes to mind. You guys know I love Law and Order. Like, I love that show. SVU specifically. And I've seen them filming it so many different times. I've been this close to Olivia Benson. Like, oh my God. When I first moved here, I was walking around with my friend. We stumbled upon them filming in Central Park. We just hung out around and we were watching and stuff. We noticed that there's like this whole table with pastries and coffee. And we were like, oh, we really want some coffee right now. We walk over and we realize that it's Craft Service, which is the company that provides food and drinks for film sets. We're like, hey, can we have some of this coffee? The guy's just like, are you with the film crew? Are you an extra? And we're like, no. And he's just like, wrong answer. What you should have done was just say you were and acted the part, and we would have just given you the coffee. We were just like looking at each other like, what? We ended up getting the coffee. He let us have some coffee. If we didn't act so shy and coy and like, oh, I don't know, like, maybe, like, we could have just gotten it. We're like, yeah, we're just coming over to grab some coffee. And I'm not saying lie and like manipulate your way through life. That's definitely not what I'm saying. If you walk fast and you act confident, you get seen a different type of way. And we could have been extras in that show as well. We just didn't feel like staying around because extras don't get treated like the actual talent. You can kind of make opportunities happen and make things happen for yourself if you are just willing to put yourself out there and take the risk. This is a big one that New York has taught me for sure. The world is expensive. Yes, I knew this, but I definitely did not know what real expenses were until I moved here. New York is very expensive to live here. Obviously, it is the financial capital of the world. You can afford it if you play your cards right. Things start here. Businesses start here. Trends start here. There's been so many times where things have happened here or things have started here, and I'll talk to my friends who don't live here and they're like, what are you talking about? Give it a couple more months and now it's trickled down to wherever they are and they're like, oh, okay, I get it. If you choose to live cheaply and if you choose cheap things, you are going to have to pay the sacrifice. That's with food, with clothes, with housing. Yeah, you can get cheap housing, but it may not have the best lighting and you may be in a really bad neighborhood and you may have to walk 20 minutes to the train every day. Yeah, you can choose cheap food, but you may get food poisoning. You can choose cheap clothing even, and I don't think this is necessarily New York, this is everywhere, but you're sacrificing quality. So there's always a give and take, and you choose to live how you want and how you can at the time. At some point you have to stop blaming money and figure out a way to make it work, because the world's not going to slow down and stop for you. This is tough love for sure. It sucks. I've been there where I'm like, I don't have any money. This is so expensive. This is really annoying. Yeah, you can sit there and be sad about it and blame everything and everyone, but it's not going to change your situation. I know it's like really tough to hear sometimes. People are probably like, oh my God, you have no idea, but I do. I did not have the best upbringing. I did not have the best childhood, and it was really, really rough. At one point, my mom and my brothers were living in a shelter. So yeah, I get it. Life is really rough. You can either choose to stay in that position, or you can find out what you need to do and what steps you need to take, no matter how small and how long it takes you to get what you want. And I know there are definitely things out of our control that we have to deal with, and it's really hard, but you have more control than you think. It takes you looking at yourself and looking at your surroundings and just making changes that you might not necessarily want to make, but are necessary to get you where you want to be. There is more than enough money in this world to go around. Just know you kind of have to help yourself first before you expect everyone to give you anything. The last point I want to make about what New York has taught me, this one's kind of funny. New York taught me what real pizza is. New York pizza is definitely by far the best pizza I've ever had in my life. There are so many different types of New York pizza. You have dollar pizza, which I used to always eat when I first moved here, and it's really not that bad. The dough is still being made with New York water, which is why the dough tastes so good here. As I graduated up into my pizza expertise, I've had so many different types of pizza. I really need to make a video just on New York pizza. Whether you're visiting or whether you live here, I just need you, for me, to try these pizza places. I just want like a slice right now. And that's another thing. You can just go into so many different places and just get a slice of pizza. You don't have to necessarily get a full pie. You know, every pizza place has their own sauce. Every pizza place claims they're the best. And I'm down to actually try pizza from other places as well. When I was in North Carolina, we did not have good pizza. We had like Papa John's, Pizza Hut, you know, like the generic chain restaurants. I do remember this one that was in Garner. It was in White Oak. If you guys are familiar, if anybody out there is from North Carolina. Primavera Pizza, if I'm not mistaken. But it was like the closest thing we had to New York pizza that I had found at the time. It was like a thinner slice, very gooey cheese. It was just really greasy. That was one thing I didn't like about it. It was really, really greasy, like to the point where like it was just sitting on top of the pizza, so much grease, like more than normal. But that's it. Well, it's not it. I've learned so many different things living in New York. I'm a strong believer that you need to get out of your comfort zone to learn more about yourself and learn more about the world so that you can be a better person for yourself and for those around you. If everybody works on themselves, this world would be such a better place. Like, I mean, just imagine. Okay, we're done. I'm very grateful for the things that I've learned and continue to learn. If you guys have made it up this far, comment a slice of pizza emoji. Until next time.